So we got Israel Adesanya crying at the press conference, the pre-fight press conference between him versus Dricuss Duplessis, which is coming up this weekend on August 17th. Right now it is August 16th, Friday. Happy Jummah Friday prayers to all the Muslims around the world. May Allah bless your weekend. But more importantly, or not really more importantly, rather, but more excitingly, a blessed card that we're going to witness this weekend. Now, with even more drama added to it. So let's talk about the different nuances that comes with Izzy crying. Number one, a lot of people are going to make him look like an absolute bitch in this particular matter. Now, is it warranted? Well, that is up for your own taste palette in order to decide whether the criticism or the harsh treatment towards Izzy based on his actions is warranted or not. And that's for you to decide. For me, I'm going to look at this from a very mature point of view. Because Izzy is right. It doesn't matter if a person cries, the person can still whoop your butt by the end of the day, depending on who they are and the circumstances of their skills, style, and matchup versus yours. That's the reality of the world. It doesn't have to mean that because you are the baddest fighter in the world, that somehow you walk around with a certain chip on your shoulder on a daily basis. Nor does it mean that you should go out and exhibit aggressive behavior every single second of your existence to prove that you are worthy of respect or worthy to be feared of some sort. So in other words, Izzy crying is not something that I take too much out of in terms of the psychology going into the fight. What I will notice, though, is that there is a different way of how we look at things. And let me put into context exactly what I mean. So Dricuss said to Izzy that you had servants growing up. And this triggered Israel Adesanya into a rage where he said, you don't know anything about my life. You don't know the struggles that I had to face. You don't know the type of jobs that my dad had to do in order for my mom to become a nurse. And then on top of that, how they were able to change their lifestyle as a result of education that they gained along their journey. That is Israel Adesanya's accounts. That is his own personal experience that only he can feel, understand, and will ever empathize with. Whereas with the rest of the world, especially in the toxic space of the MMA community, honestly, this is one of those situations where they're going to target the low-hanging fruit. And when you're crying like this in front of the world, they're going to pick at you for these particular reasons. Because it's right there to be picked at. It's right there to be critiqued. And not only that, it's right there for everybody to make fun of you. Because we obviously live in this culture where, and I get it. Look, I completely understand the aspect of not showing any weakness. I absolutely empathize with that. But I also believe that you should keep your private matters at your home, right? And this is what happens when you disclose too much of your information to the world. Well, you're going to fall victim to people using that against you. You put your children, your wife, your family, they're going to be used as a prop, and they're going to be used as a narrative, as a reflection of who you are. I.e., John Fury is a great example of that. Now everybody has this low-hanging fruit to get at Tommy Fury and to get at Tyson Fury because of his dad's antics and whatever it is that he chooses to do at any particular given time. But also, how about the fact that Tommy Fury broke up with his girl and now everybody is using that against him, using it as some sort of meme to, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the reason is, or maybe they think it's funny, or just simply for the simple fact that I had mentioned. when you disclose your life to the world, people are going to use it against you. So is it really worth doing that at all? Which is why I've always praised the guys like George St. Pierre, guys like Brock Lesnar, Khabib. They all have one thing in common. They don't like to expose their families to the world, their kids or wives, i.e., etc. Of course, Brock Lesnar's daughter came out as a shot put competitor in college and maybe even in the Olympics for all we know. And she has emerged into the scene naturally because obviously she is an athlete just like her father, and it was just a natural transition that she was going to make a public appearance at some point. But prior to that, never. And the other contrasting side of that, you guys got to remember, Brock Lesnar is married to WWE's Sable, who at one time was, I mean, just look up Sable and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Totally contrasting of the mountainous man lifestyle that Brock Lesnar wants to live right now in almost like an Amish kind of way, right? But again, a lifestyle that a lot of us Muslims can relate to. Because look at Khabib, very reserved, doesn't really show anybody his family or expose them to any degree. But with Israel Adesanya, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit there because he's exposed himself to that. But also, how about this? Nobody is taken into accountability that Israel Adesanya, I mean, let's be honest, right? He sort of brought this upon himself. We know that Dricuss du Plessis is not a racist. And by the way, I'm not saying this because I'm a Dricuss du Plessis fan or I'm more of an Izzy fan. I like both guys equally, and I wish both men the best on their upcoming endeavors and especially their competition with each other, right? However, I got to call a spade, and a reality is Dricuss never made this a racial thing. Dricuss is not a racist person. He trains with other black athletes in his gym in his country and has helped them along the way and has helped other black athletes in his gym and in the world of South African MMA prosper as well. So it's not a race thing. It was never a race thing for him. What it is a regional thing. Okay, he reps Africa. That is the soil that he comes from. Very similar to Drake and Kendrick Lamar. You notice that Drake, even though he's the biggest rapper in the world and has all this clout, the West Coast united together in support of Kendrick Lamar. And quite frankly, this is no different than in the streets. You go anywhere out of state, you see a West Coast guy, maybe two of them are rivals, and let's say they're in Texas and one guy is getting jumped, you better believe that that Cali guy is going to go defend that other Cali guy out of state, and that's just how the culture is out here. So it's a regional thing. It's a regional significance, and this is what Dricuss du Plessis is trying to emphasize. Hence the song, They Not Like Us. They Not Like Us, which, by the way, I'm surprised is not even a soundtrack to this fight, but it should be. So in other words, Izzy sort of brought this upon himself with the banter. But by the end of the day, both of these men are going to fight and they're going to settle it. And by the end of it all, that's all that it really matters. Which, by the way, takes me to this conversation of stoicism. I think it is important to teach young men stoicism in order to achieve their goals. Not only that, stay away from trouble of all kinds, whether that would be trouble of disclosing too much information, or whether that would be trouble in ways of incriminating yourself, or giving away too much location to a potential security risk factor against you. So remain stoic, remain vigilant, and not only that, remain focused. But also never take things personal. And I think that is the biggest lesson that we can learn from this reaction of the post-fight press conference. The post-press conference, pre-fight press conference with Izzy and Dricuss is stoicism. Understanding that we should not expose our vulnerabilities to the world. Look, I understand there's this whole narrative of, oh, it's okay to cry in front of the world. I get that. Listen, cry in front of your family. cry in front of people that you love and that care and that can actually help you with whatever it is that you're crying about. But crying to the world where all they are looking for is clout, and not only that, a way of attacking whatever low-hanging fruit you may possess, it's not worth it. But maybe it is for Izzy's bank account, depending on the pay-per-view sales that come about this particular fight. But don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next content, inshallah.